The Americans joined in a chorus, not a chorus, it was a few countries. The Americans agreed to vote down a UN resolution that was basically telling off Russia and encouraging Ukraine. And Russia joined, and the US was one of a few group of people who said, no, we're not going to let that resolution through. So it didn't go through. The conversation is now flowing on as to what's going to happen with Ukraine. Vladimir Zelensky said yesterday he would be happy to resign from his position if it meant peace. Like if it was like Russia saying you have to resign and we'll withdraw, he was like, yep, I will do that. And Emmanuelle Macron was in with Trump today and had to fact check him in real time in front of the press corps. Let's have a look at the news story from today.
Rearing into its fourth year, the fighting remains just as brutal. Ukraine's frozen training grounds, nearly as cold as relations with what was once the nation's strongest ally. The seismic Trump-led global shift seen most starkly today in New York. At the United Nations, America joining Russia and a small bloc, including North Korea, in voting against a resolution condemning Russian aggression.
As we gather today on this third anniversary, what we need is a resolution marking the commitment from all UN member states to bring a durable end to the war.
So why would you vote against it, the US? I mean, what would be the reason to vote against it?
This stunning vote by the United States today shows just how much this country has pivoted under the leadership of Donald Trump, who refuses to blame Vladimir Putin for invading Ukraine and is instead framing Vladimir.
Actually, he said the opposite. He said this week that Ukraine started the war. I think that's yesterday's news, and he did walk it back a little bit, but, they shouldn't have started it. He was speaking of Ukraine when he said that.
Vladimir Zelensky as the villain.
We need to reconfirm that the aggression should be condemned and discredited, not rewarded.
President Trump thinks not, confirming today he's spoken to Putin about forging major economic development deals between the US and Russia.
They have a lot of things that we want, and we'll see. I mean, I don't know if that will come to fruition, but...
Just think about that. He's talking about helping Ukraine, and his first response is, they have a lot of things that we want. They have a lot of things that we want.
It's super transactional.
But
Trump has always been that.
Maybe tonight's show...
He's like a mobster. It's like a protection racket.
Maybe tonight's show is three of the stupidest right-wing white leaders in the world. Because even if that is what Trump's going to do, I want their minerals, he's aware that there's cameras in front of him as he says this out loud. They have a lot of things that we want. Okay.
We'd love to be able to do that if we could. You know, they have massive rare earth.
Trump's position has been that the US has been getting a raw deal with its ongoing assistance for Ukraine, a point fact-checked by one of Europe's most powerful leaders, French President Emmanuelle Macron, in the Oval Office.
Europe is loaning the money.
Yep.
Can you rewind that to Trump's famous handshake?
Yep, I'll try.
You know what I'm talking about, right?
Nope. From here?
It's an absolute power move. He always does this. When he shakes hands with a world leader, he yanks them towards him. It is such a childish power move, and you see it here again.
For Ukraine, a point fact-checked by one of Europe's most powerful leaders, French President Emmanuelle Macron, in the Oval Office.
Europe is loaning the money to Ukraine. They get their money back.
No, in fact, to be frank, we paid 60% of the total effort, and it was like the US, loans, guarantee, grants, and we provided real money. To be clear,
if you believe that, it's okay with me.
Both leaders saying they want peace, but with clear differences on how to get there.
It's time to end this bloodletting and restore peace, and I think we're going to do it. We've had some great conversations, including with...
Just quietly, I don't think that's Emmanuel Macron. If it is, he's let himself go something awful.
Russia. Macron stressing the need for America's military to back up any truce forged.
We want peace. That peace cannot mean capitulation by Ukraine. That peace cannot be a ceasefire with no guarantees. That peace must include the conditions for Ukrainian sovereignty.
The conveyor belt of European leaders visiting Trump will continue. The UK Prime Minister is next in line. They all want peace. Trump's peace plan, though, could be a bitter pill to swallow.
What seems to be the game plan for European leaders when dealing with Donald Trump, Logan?
Well, Simon, Europe seems to be walking a bit of a tightrope. On one hand, it's trying to stand up for itself, but on the other hand, it's also trying to not push Donald Trump further towards Vladimir Putin. It seems though almost every single US position on this conflict in Ukraine has changed of recent weeks. For example, in the last couple of years, European leaders, as well as the US, have been working to freeze the economy of Russia and Vladimir Putin. Well, today, Donald Trump's announcing that he's having talks with Putin about economic development deals. Another example is that, as we've been reporting, the US has effectively forced Ukraine to the negotiation table over its rare earth minerals, potentially having to give up tens, if not hundreds of billions of dollars of them in exchange for the ongoing military aid. Well, the US are not having the same conversations or demands put on Russia, who you have to remember started this invasion in the first place. The other interesting aspect is the language. We've heard Donald Trump repeatedly called Vladimir Zelensky a dictator in recent days, and he's had far kinder words when he's been describing Vladimir Putin. It was a point he was pressed today by reporters in the Oval Office. Take a listen.
I don't use those words lightly. I think that we're going to see how it all works out. Let's see what happens.
On the face of this, it almost seems like...
That's the mobster thing you were talking about. We'll just see what happens. We'll see. Will you be happy at the end? No, we'll see.
That question was, again, a real simple one. You called Zelensky a dictator the other day. Would you describe Putin in the same way? I don't know. I don't know. I'm real careful with my words. I don't know.
Donald Trump is trying to reward the man who has ended the global order of peace that we've enjoyed for so many years, upended the lives of thousands, if not tens of thousands of people in Ukraine. But, and there's a big counterpoint to this, it is also fair to say that Donald Trump has opened the door to peace far wider than any other Western leader has in recent years. So at this point now, it's going to be really up to history to see if Donald Trump's method is the right one.
All right.
Yeah. That may be true, that the door, this is more conversation around peace than there's been for years, but who trusts that Donald Trump is going to be the person to help bring peace to a region where he is supporting the dictatorial side and making accusations at the victim side? You know, even if the door's open, it's only open because Putin's allowed his lapdog Trump to come in, probably through the doggy door, actually. That's the doggy door's open, not the door, perhaps.
Yeah. Like, Trump doesn't understand a lot. Like, his mind is extremely transactional. And even you can look at the US's actions and history in Europe as being transactional if you want. Like when they were siding up against the Soviet Union, what better place to fight them in somebody else's country? That was the payout for them rebuilding Western Europe after World War II, was air bases and the ability to stage their armies in other countries in NATO. That was the whole thing. NATO was America's thing. It was good for everyone. And this reaction from Trump has been seen by Europe as an oh shit moment. The other announcements today is that France has suggested the fact that they could stage their nuclear strike force, their fighters and bombers, out of German air bases. You have obviously Germany's recent election where the right wing came in and we all went, oh shit, Alternative for Deutschland, very, very, very bad. But the other conservative party that they're going to have to go in partnership for, there was a televised debate where their leader of that other conservative party, sorry, the name escapes me, turned to his future coalition partner and said, the bottom line for us is that we support Ukraine. You said that as a negative, Russia doesn't see us as neutral anymore. we're not neutral. We support Ukraine. So to have two of the powerhouses of the EU, France and Germany, go, no, we're all in on Ukraine at this point.
Yeah.
That is a strong signal to Ukraine that if America pulls out, then they're not on their own. I think the other thing that Trump doesn't understand here, and you've seen this in multiple unhinged, insane tweets from him, is he looks at the dollar value of what's been donated to Ukraine.
Yep.
Now, I want to make it real clear for people that don't understand this. America and a lot of Europe have been donating a lot of arms and tanks and planes and all sorts of shit to Ukraine. It's the back of the cupboard. It's the old stuff that they're about to replace. And when those countries make those donations, it's like this. Say I bought a car 15 years ago and I want to give it to a friend. I paid 80 grand for that car when it was new. I give it to my friend and say, aren't I generous? Here's an $80,000 car. It's no longer an $80,000 car. That's what those countries do. They take the ticket value and say, look, this is the donation.
Mm-hmm.
It's not. They're getting rid of something that they would have to mothball or scrap. You are doing them a favor, taking it off their hands.
Yeah.
A lot of the ordnance that's been given to Ukraine, missiles that have an expiration date. It is literally pay money to disassemble them or fire them in a mountain in a training exercise. This way they're getting given to Ukraine and they'll use them. It is saving America money to donate the shit to Ukraine. Trump doesn't understand that. He says the ticket value, very transactional. And his mindset is only of the protection racket, the mob tactics that he has learned running property scams and casinos and that sort of thing. I will do something for you, but I have to take more than I give.
Yeah. So he's the opposite of what we've just been talking about. He's the opposite. Like Seymour was like, we spend $1 and get more than $1 back. Trump spends $1 and he wants to make sure he gets more back. Like that the other people are giving back more to him. They're losing and he's winning.
Yeah, absolutely. The benefit for these European countries, France and Germany, is to have another country between them and Russia. This is Russia's whole angle, is they want a country in their sphere between them and NATO. Now, I don't know. You can pull up a list of how many countries Russia has invaded in the last 100 years and how many countries NATO have invaded in the last couple of decades. Like, I know who I would rather have on my border. I know who I would trust more for, what do they call it? The international rules-based order. One of those rules is stay in your own fucking country. And maybe it's right that America stays out of this. Maybe America would be right to pull the pin on their NATO obligations. Because when you look at the list of the countries that America has invaded over the same period of time, it seems like Russia and America are in a bit of a competition of how many countries we can unilaterally storm into. Sometimes it's even the same countries with the same results. Afghanistan, I see you. Two major countries. You won both times. It's just remarkable. Ukraine, in my opinion, should not settle. Trump's saying that he's a dictator because he's not having an election. Would you say the same thing to Winston Churchill in 1943? It makes, what sane country has an election when a good portion of their population are refugees and the other portion of their population are in trenches? It's an insane thing. Everything he says about Ukraine is insane. Every advisor in his sphere is saying the same thing. It's insane. And then his military are going, no, we want to support Ukraine. We're not hearing it, but that's what they're saying.
These images are going around Twitter at the moment, and they're saying things like, here's the list of Russian places that Russia has walked into like in the last 100 years. Ukraine, Poland, Azerbaijan, Georgia, China, Japan, Poland, Finland, Romania, Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania, China, North Korea, China, Berlin, Hungary, Czechoslovakia, Angola, Ethiopia, Afghanistan, Azerbaijan. Again, there's a twofer. Georgia, Azerbaijan, again. North Hosea, I don't know where that is. Lithuania, Moldova, Georgia, Ishkeria, Tajikistan, Angusness, Georgia again, Ishkeria, Georgia, Ukraine, Syria, Ukraine. So, and then the other thing on Twitter is then you see the next list beside it, which is like countries that Ukraine has invaded in the past 100 years. And yes, significantly less. I got one other thing I want to show you as well. And I'm sure people have either seen this or heard about this today. Where is it gone now? But there was a particularly aggressive piece of AI going around today that we should definitely check out.
It's the feet are. It's wrong. Everything's wrong, but the feet are also wrong, and it bugs me.
Well, because they're both right feet.
Yeah.
Yeah. But this is the thing. This is the thing. This is a US government building. So this was playing on the screens in a US government building. See?
Amazing.
Long live the real king. Talking of Elon Musk. Did Donald Trump kiss Elon Musk's feet? No, of course he didn't kiss, but the video was played at the US Department of Housing and Urban Development, HUD, they call it, don't they? So it was playing in there on the screens all over the place. Office television displayed a video where Trump enthusiastically, because he's got two right feet, kissed Musk's feet with the text, "Long live the real king." Yeah.
Now, his Swiss cheese brain that's just riddled with syphilis is going to be really confused about that because he won't remember doing it. I'm pretty sure that you get the right person in the Oval Office, you could convince them that it actually happened because it's on the television.
Brother Mark's right, actually. They are left feet, the other way around. No, hang on. If I'm that way. No, they're... Oh, but I'm looking at it... Confused. Either way. Just for your enjoyment. And good luck sleeping tonight.